So as we're chatting here with Cedric Maxwell, of course, Evan Valenti, I'm Adam Kaufman, and we got away from Payton Pritchard. I want to go back. We didn't spend nearly enough time on Payton Pritchard with what this kid has been doing of late, and naturally, he has become a fan favorite. He has become, it seems like, a real teammate favorite. I'm sure you've seen the victory dance celebrations that Jaylen Brown, Tristan Thompson, these guys have been putting out on social media from back in his high school days when he's just dancing around shirtless in front of refrigerators or microwaves or whatever the hell else. I mean, the kid is clearly a good time and has been embraced by his teammates. You got Jason calling him 8 Mile. Some fans calling him P Rabbit. Again, Eminem reference there to the movie. There's Dean Pritchard. People won't let Fast PP go, his old Twitter handle. So the man of many nicknames. He's getting asked about it all over the place. Jaylen Brown called him the GOAT the other day, which clearly we're just at a point where we're throwing that term around because he's played all of 9 NBA games. But are you surprised with how impactful this kid has been early on?
No, not really. I mean, I just look at him as such a quality player. And he's playing in a system, in Brad Stevens' system, which I think if you are a smart player, it helps you that much more because you're not physically trying to beat somebody, you're cutting corners. And because of that, you have to use your mental ability a lot more. You see, the most gifted guy physically, I looked at him initially, I'm like, well, he seems a little slow. And now I see him, going by guys and getting guys up in the air and having old man moves. I love what he's doing now. And I think we talk about how great it is right now in these first 8 games or whatever games, how many games you played. But, man, how would it be if he was playing in the Garden? Yeah. How impactful would it be with real fans there? Now, we're not discounting our fans on the internet and all these things because we love them.
But it's not the same. I mean,
but
he talked about that after his game winner in Miami. They were all laughing on the bench, and he was asked after the fact what he was laughing about with his teammates and Evan Turner and all these guys, and he said, "You just don't typically hit a game-winning shot in an empty building," and so it was a weird feeling and a weird experience.
Yeah, to me, it's like looking at the games now. A lot of times, I think of those games as like pickup games. Like when you played when you were young, it's like, dude, you want to play? Hey, you want to play with me? Come on. Giannis, you okay, come on. And it's these great players playing in the most of the time empty buildings.
The one thing I think is interesting about Pritchard is, I mean, you can attest to this. You have a team that has its hierarchy pretty much set up. You have your starters pretty much in place. They had Tristan Thompson. They had Jeff Teague, 2 veterans. They already have a bunch of guys been on the team before. So you bring Pritchard in, guy just basically went from college right into the pros, no offseason or anything, really. They had a really truncated offseason, which leads me to ask you, I mean, you've been through off seasons in the NBA before. You've brought in new teammates before, been a part of a lot of different teams. How impressive is it, considering the team that he's on and considering the shortened offseason, to have a guy like this make this big of an impact on this team this early on in the season?
Very much so when you are a player taken lower in the draft. I think that's what is that impact there. You think of Rondo when he had a bad team for a while. Okay, he was taken low in the draft, but now you're talking about a team that is removed from almost the Eastern Conference Finals, or think about them winning the champ, automatically be on the playoff team. But he comes in not being cocky, and what you can see guys teasing him. A lot of times when people tease you, they tease you for a reason. One, because you can take it, and the other, they tease you because they like you. And there are a lot of times rookies come in, and I haven't been around Pritchard in that way, but he seems to be very, he knows his role. It's like, don't. I think it was the movie Shawshank, and the guy said, son, you're forgetting yourself. know your role. And it seems like he knows his role. He knows the veteran players. He knows, he's listening to Marcus. He's listening to the coaches. There doesn't seem to be the arrogance. Like, look, I got a lot to learn. This is early on. These guys have played for years in the NBA. but I'm going to do whatever I can to win basketball games. And I mean, you look at Naismith now. Naismith is struggling because maybe he hasn't played, thinking he hurt his foot, hasn't played in many years in college. He doesn't have the maturity so far in his game. He might be a better player eventually, could be. But what you see with Pritchard is the basketball IQ and the grittiness that you would see. He's the kind of guy who you would see in the park and you go, I'll take the little white guy right there. I'll take him. I'll take him. And he's going to win me a game because he's so gritty. He's going to hit the open shots and he's going to make smart plays.
One of the pre-draft comps for Pritchard was Fred VanVleet. And to your point about Tatum and Brown earlier, it's just hard at this stage, and those guys have been in the league for years, never mind 9 games. It's hard at this stage when guys are so young to really know what a ceiling is or what an upside is. But when you look at Pritchard, are there guys, be it a VanVleet or someone else, that you sort of, see in his game that you think might be a fair comp?
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison. I remember when I first came to the league and I was playing really well, and there was a guy named Eddie Pinckney who ended up winning a championship at Villanova. And he was coming into the league, and the comment I read by his name said, he's a poor man's Cedric Maxwell. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'd say the same thing. Pritchard would be a poor man's VanVleet. Freddie VanVleet, because I think he plays on that same kind of level. And if you said there's a ceiling you could get to, VanVleet is smart. He knocks down shots. He's heady. He's in the right place. I think Pritchard could only aspire to be Freddie VanVleet, and I think that would be a good call.
We left out the most important part. He's an NBA champion.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's collecting $20 million, so he did all right. Yeah.
No,
pretty good for an undrafted kid.
That's the most important part right there. Yeah. You can keep the ring. You give me the $20 million. I'm good.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I like about Pritchard, and it's again tough, early on, but he kind of, and it's easier for point guards to do this because they have the ball in their hands so much. But sometimes with young guys trying to prove yourself, you do too much. The one thing I like about Pritchard is, and you can say this with a lot of great point guards, and you've played with several of them, and just guys that have that point mentality. He gives you what the game needs. Do you need some rebounding? He gives you a little bit of rebounding. You need some guy to pick up somebody 3/4 court, make his life a little bit of a living hell. He'll go out and do that. You need the ball to move around quickly. He'll do that. And the best part about Pritchard, and it's unfortunate that Tommy isn't here to watch.
Oh my God!
But Pritchard pushes the ball off makes.
They'd rename the Tommy point.
And he you see it right away. He's like, give me the ball. We're pushing it up. And he's the first guy up the floor. And that particular type of play is contagious when you're like, you don't want to be the guy slacking back and hanging around while the ball's already up, at the 3-point line. No, you got to get up there and join him and get the play rolling. That's the one thing. Pritchard gives you what the game needs. And for a guy who's got 9 games into his NBA career, that's really impressive.
Yeah, that really is. And if there's one thing that drives me, I wouldn't say drives me crazy, but if there was one thing I was picking at Jason Tatum about, that he is too cool for school. He is just gets in, he gets it, puts it on the floor, brings it down, like there's not a care in the world. And maybe I'm looking for a little bit more sense of urgency. And that's one thing you get from Pritchard. Pritchard is the downhill skier. That's what he is. Like he gets on the edge of those skis and you don't know if he's gonna make it or not, but he is flying down that mountain. And that's where he, that sense of danger, that sense of belonging. That's what I get when I see Pritchard in the way he plays.